focus our mind on the Divine Spirit within our heart and pray for the welfare of the whole humanity. Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya pratyorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. He has given a number of spiritual instructions. We can take any one of them and follow it thoroughly. We achieve everything. All his instructions are practical ways of spirituality. He said, a man attains everything when he discovers his true self in himself. This is the statement of Sri Ramakrishna. The object of sadhana, practice, is to realize that true nature of our self. That also is the purpose of assuming the human body. One needs the clay mold as long as the gold image has not been cast. God is not only inside us, He is both inside and outside. As long as we live, we can't but work. We should meditate steadily besides engaging ourselves in work. We should integrate work and meditation in order to discover the true self. About this topic, we have discussed in the last class the distinction between karma and karma yoga. Continuing the subject, I want to deal upon the effects of karma It's very important to know these points so that we can practice both karma and meditation, and it will help us to reach the goal. Karma produces two kinds of result. A cosmic one and an individual one. Suppose you throw a stone into a pond, what will happen? It produces ripples which travel outwards and after striking the bank return to the point where the stone has fallen. Similarly, every action produces an effect on the cosmic mind, which is called Mahat, and returns to the doer after a certain period of time. It comes back to the person from whom it went out. The effect produced on the cosmic mind is called apurva. It gets stored up, and after undergoing a process of ripening, which we call vipaka, it changes into karma phal, the fruit of action. And then it returns to the doer. It is this karma phal, the fruit of action, that determines the environment we are born in and the experiences that we get in life. So how it is very important to know about the karma, about the activities in which we engage ourselves every day. Like the banks of the pond, God, who is the Supreme Self, Paramatman, acts as a great reflector and returns the fruits of actions to every soul in each birth. According to Buddhists, according to Jains, and some other schools of philosophy, once a person does an action, no power can prevent the karma phal from returning to him. But the teachers of bhakti, devotion, hold different view. That God, the eternal giver, He has all the powers. He can do, He can undo, He can modify any karma. Kartum, akartum, anyatha kartum. God can do anything. The view of Advaitin, the follower of non-dualism, is slightly different. They think in a slightly different way about the karma phal. They strive to eliminate the I itself, so that if the karma phal returned, there would be none to receive it. Karma, karma means action, also produces an individual effect. Every action leaves on the mind of the doer an impression which is known as samskar. Samskar is of two types. One is called karma bija. The other one is called vasana. Both are classified under samskar. Let us take an example. If you smoke one cigar, you would feel like smoking one more. This motivation, this impulse, this tendency to repeat a former action comes from the karma bija left in the mind by that action. First you smoke a cigar, that has left the seed, karma bija. The experience resulting from an action at the same time leaves another type of impression in the mind known as vasana, which later on produces the memory of that experience, not the impulse to repeat. Just a memory. Motivation and memory, karma bija and vasana, which give rise to them, are closely interlinked. The arousal of the one rouses the other two. But it is important to know the distinction between the two. The memory that vasana produces consists chiefly of mental images and ideas, and is a more or less conscious process. Whereas the impulse that karma bija produces is an unconscious drive. The memory of a cigar produces the impulse to smoke in a smoker, but produces no such impulse in a non-smoker. This shows that memory and motivation are different processes. We shall know some points about memory and motivation. Experience is the result not of vasana but of karma bija. Memory of cigar or even of smoking does not give one the experience, the joy of smoking. For that joy one has to act, one has to obey the impulse and smoke a real cigar. Then only you will have that joy. Secondly, purity of mind cannot be attained by merely suppressing or repressing impure memories or vasanas. Similarly, thinking that we are pure does not make us pure though it is better than thinking that we are impure. Then what's to be done? We must do pure and virtuous actions. That's very important. Impurity lies not in the images and memories that rise in the mind, but in the impure impulses that are consciously or unconsciously connected with those images. Impure impulses are produced by impure actions and can be checked only by good impulses produced by good actions. So, how we act upon is very important. Meditation is chiefly concerned with memory. It deals mainly with images and ideas. The control of anger, the control of anxiety and other wrong impulses. Strictly speaking, they are all outside the sphere of meditation. They are to be dealt with at other times through virtuous actions and ways of living. Without a rich stock of good samskaras acquired through virtuous actions, it's impossible to deal with the wrong impulses that intrude themselves into meditation. This shows that Karma Yoga is an indispensable adjunct to meditative life. Virtuous actions and ordinary meditation can only keep in check bad impulses, but they cannot destroy their roots. The roots, that is the samskaras, can be burnt up only with prajna, the light of Atman that shines forth during the advanced stages of meditation. The immediate goal of both Karma Yoga and meditation is the awakening of this inner light, an experience which Ramanuja, one of the great exponents of qualified monism, has termed Atmavalokan. Most of the traditional teachers of Vedanta have held that Karma Yoga does not lead directly to the attainment of Brahman and Mukti, liberation, whereas a few others, including some modern teachers, have held that it does. Ramanuj has effected a compromise between these two views by showing that though Karma Yoga does not lead directly to the realization of the infinite Brahman, it does lead to the realization of the Pratyagatman, the individual inner self. This is one of the significant contributions of the great Ramanuj to Vedantic spirituality. Karma Yoga does not merely purifying the mind, it also gives rise to a definite spiritual experience. Atmavalokan, or the awakening of the inner self. That awakening of the inner self is achieved through Karma Yoga. This point deserves the careful consideration of all aspirants, especially those who give more importance to Karma Yoga. So, we have discussed the difference between Karma and Karma Yoga in the last class also. It is important to know distinction between meditation as a technique, vyavastha, and meditation as a state of consciousness, avastha. Vyavastha, avastha. We should know the distinction between these two. What is vyavastha? The first is a scheme or procedure, often a complex one, involving several steps like prayer, bowing down, breath control, visualization, repetition of mantra, self-surrender, so on and so forth. The effect of following this procedure is what most people mean by meditating. It is a kind of inner ritual, a mental drill, a struggle against psycho-physical automatisms, lower impulses and uncontrolled thinking. Meditation as a state, avastha, is a simple state of awareness, chit, or a mode of being or existence, sat, in which one experiences deep inner calm. At times, one may get into this state spontaneously, but usually it is a result of the practice of the meditative technique for a long period of time. Sometimes this mental drill does not produce any noticeable effect except the establishment of some order in one's inner life, so much so that many people go on practicing meditation without entering the meditative state at all. It is the meditative state that Patanjali means in Raja Yoga by the term dhyana, and not any meditation technique. The few techniques that he mentions in Raja Yoga are really methods for fixing the mind at one point, an exercise which is known as dharana. As a matter of fact, all meditation techniques are to be regarded as techniques of dharana. So one has to pass through all these stages in order to enter into meditative state. Then only you will be able to achieve the goal of discovering your true self. We shall study about this much more in the next class. Master, referring to Narendra, he said, the chatterbox, but he is now much worried about his family. Master Maharaj said, yes sir, it is true. Master, once he said that he would look upon adversity as his good fortune. Isn't that so? Yam said, he has great strength of mind. A devotee said, does he lack strength in anything? pointing to the sadhana from Konnagar, pointing to the sadhaka from Konnagar, a devotee said to the master, "Sir, he has come to visit you. He has some questions to ask." The sadhaka was seated erect, his chin up. Sadhaka said, "Sir, what's the way?" Sri Ramakrishna said, Faith in the Guru's words. Page 524 I am reading. Faith in the Guru's words. One attains God by following the Guru's instructions step by step. It is like reaching an object by following the trail of a thread. Sadhaka asked, "Is it possible to see God?" Master replied, "He is unknowable by the mind engrossed in worldliness. One cannot attain God if one has even a trace of attachment to lust and gold. But he is knowable by the pure mind and pure intelligence. The mind and intelligence that have that have not the slightest trace of attachment. Pure mind, pure intelligence, pure Atman are one and the same thing." Sadhaka said, "But the scriptures say, from him words and mind return baffled. He is unknowable by mind and words." Master said, "Oh, stop. One cannot understand the meaning of the scriptures without practicing spiritual discipline. What will you gain by merely uttering the word Siddhi, Indian hemp? The Pandits glibly quote the scriptures, but what will that accomplish? A man doesn't become intoxicated even by rubbing Siddhi on his body. He must swallow it. What's the use of merely repeating, 'There is butter in the milk'? Turn the milk into curd and churn it, only then will you get butter." Sadhaka said, "You talk about churning butter, but you too are quoting the scriptures." Master said, "What will one gain by merely quoting or hearing the scriptures? One must assimilate them. The almanac makes a forecast of the rainfall for the year, but you won't get a drop by squeezing its pages." Sadhaka said, "You talk about churning butter. Have you done it yourself?" Master said, "You don't have to bother about what I have or haven't done. Besides, it's very difficult to explain these things to others. Suppose someone asks you, 'What does ghee taste like?' Your answer will be, 'Ghee tastes like ghee.' To understand these things, one needs to live with holy men, just as to understand the pulse of bile, a pilgrim, and so on, one needs to live with a physician." Sadhaka said, "There are some people who are irritated by others' company." Master said, "That happens only after the attainment of knowledge, after the realization of God. Shouldn't a beginner live in the company of holy men?" The sadhaka sat in silence a few moments. Then he said with some irritation, "Please tell me whether you have realized God either directly or intuitively. You may answer me if you are able, or you may keep silent if you wish." The master said with a smile, "What shall I say? One can only give a hint." Sadhaka, "Then tell us that much." Narendra was going to sing. He said, "No one has brought a pakwaj. Pakwaj is a musical drum." The younger Gopal said, "Mahimacharan has one." Master interrupting, "No, we don't want anything of his here." A devotee from Konnagar sang a song. Every now and then Sri Ramakrishna glanced at the sadhaka The singer and Narendra became engaged in a furious discussion about musical technique. The sadhaka said to the singer, "What's the use of such discussions?" Referring to another man who had joined in the discussion, Sri Ramakrishna said to the sadhaka, "Why didn't you scold him too?" It could be seen that sadhaka was not on friendly terms with his companions from Konnagar. Narendra sang, "O Lord, must all my days pass by so utterly in vain? Down the path of hope I gaze with longing day and night." The sadhaka closed his eyes in meditation as he listened to the song. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The rays of the setting sun fell on his body. Sri Ramakrishna quickly opened an umbrella and placed it near the door so that the sun might not disturb the sadhaka. Narendra sang again, "How shall I call on thee, O Lord, with such a stained and worldly mind? Can a straw remain unharmed, cast in a pit of flaming coals? Thou all goodness art the fire, and I all sin am but a straw. How shall I ever worship thee? The glory of thy name," they say, "redeems those even past redeeming. Yet when I chant thy sacred name, alas, my poor heart quakes with fright. I spend my life a slave to sin. How can I find refuge then, O Lord, within thy holy way? In thine abounding kindliness rescue thou this sinful wretch. Drag me off by the hair of my head and give me shelter at thy feet." Again he sang, "Sweet is thy name, O refuge of the humble. It falls like sweetest nectar on our ears and comforts us, beloved of our souls. The priceless treasure of thy name alone is the abode of immortality. And he who chants thy name becomes immortal, falling upon our ears. Thy holy name instantly slays the anguish of our hearts, thou soul of our souls, and fills our hearts with bliss." We shall stop here. Any questions to ask? One has to be very careful about his actions. That leads him to the future course of life. That's why Vivekananda used to say very frequently that one has to be well established in character. The spirituality is built up on the basis of good character, good samskaras. That is what is meant by goods. That is what is meant by character. Good samskaras, constantly doing good actions. They create good impulses. They engage yourself totally so that you are not pulled down by the bad samskaras. So your immediate task should be how to become strong yourself. How you should be trained to make your mind strong, how to make the good samskaras, karma bija, they are responsible for your future life. So your future life lies in your actions. How you perform them, accordingly you get the birth. That's the general law. So engage in spiritual activities and develop the technique of integrating work and meditation Thereby, you'll be able to properly go onward in your spiritual path. Any questions? Any remarks? It is not something wrong, but you must know how you are organizing yourself to proceed onward in that meditative technique. I am discussing this point again in the next class also. How you must be able to direct yourself to that goal of self-awareness. These techniques are important. But then you must have that knowledge of the point where you are going to reach. So that means becoming aware of that is discovering the true self. So that is the stage. By following these meditative techniques, definitely one is led to the next higher stage in meditation. But real meditation is that where you get totally absorbed in the object of meditation. So total absorption leads to the ultimate reality. And we shall discuss, those points are to be discussed a little more, because there is no time today. So please attend next class. I will definitely deal with that subject. Now, as I said in this class, what all the practices you do in fixing the mind, they're all classified as inner ritual. So, of course, they are helpful. They are helpful in making your mind more strong and more directed towards the goal of meditation. They do help. Certainly they help. In fact, the whole process of yoga is nothing but purification of the mind. What is the purification of the mind? The mind should be freed from the clutches of the samskaras. That's called the purification of the mind. We are all under the grip of the samskaras in one way or other. Even good samskaras may be, but we should be freed from the grip of even those good samskaras. We must not be attached to them. Attachment means misery, always. It ends up in some kind of dissatisfaction or discontent. So, that's the way of understanding the getting into reality of the subject. So these different techniques are given only to give training to the mind, so that the trained mind would be able to go forward in the meditation. So the idea is you have to keep yourself watchful about your movement, whether you are staying at the same point or are you moving onward. That you should keep on looking into in your spiritual practices. That's the idea. Actually, when you are doing repetition of mantra and prayers, etc., constantly, what happens in that process is that slowly you become unaware of the external things that distract you, and more you become interested in the object of meditation, and finally get yourself totally absorbed in that object of meditation, it's only then the real meditation has started. The real meditation has started when the mind is totally absorbed on the object of meditation. Then, if a person is able to stay for a long time at that point, then he will discover his true self, when he would get immense joy, immense bliss. That's called samadhi. So the fruit of meditation is samadhi. That's the point. Anyway, I am discussing this a very deep subject. I have to deal with so many points here. Something to say? You can say something. Anybody? Alright, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drown deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No time says it, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stealest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.